All righty then. Well, good morning. Diana Minotti with Diana Minotti Fine Art Antiques and Collectibles. I'm here with my husband Perry Mitrano,
Hello, that's me.
and we have a special guest this morning, Michael Olivari of Olivari Law out of Ormond Beach.
Happy to be here.
Thank you so much for coming in.
Great lawyer.
So, what we're going to cover today, if you listened to our inaugural show last week, we just try to cover the basics of who we are and what we're doing. So, we are estate appraisers and liquidators. Our business model is to start out at the house and liquidate as much as we can there. And then, if it's fine art, antique, or collectible, we can then consign it over to the gallery, which is 5,000 square feet. You want to remind them where it is?
Oh, it's at 15 Palm Harbor Village Way, right here in Palm Coast, and it's behind the sheriff's office in the Barbosa Plaza between the Portuguese restaurant and Barbosa Barbershop, right there. Can't miss us.
Yeah. And we've been there how long now?
14 years, surprisingly.
I know. It's amazing. Sometimes people come into the shop and they're like, I've never been here before. How long have you been here?
I count it by the number of air conditioners we replace. That's how I do it. 14 years so far.
Okay, so at the gallery, we have a lot of walk in traffic. We're only a mile from the interstate. And if you get on that Google Maps, you'll find us constantly pop up as the antique shop, collectibles, consignment shop, etc. We've been doing this since 2008. And just for fun, I looked up and saw that we've conducted almost 800 sales. So it's been quite a ride.
Yeah, so it's when you're a small business, it takes a lot to do. You didn't mention that we are auctioneers, but both of us 5002 is mine and 4498 is yours, but you also conduct the sales as an estate sale, not quite an auction.
Well,
So
that's true.
it's
It's
important to know.
considered as a tag sale. All the items are tagged. However, you're welcome to make an offer on items, leave your name and number, and you just never know. Your wish may come true. So, Michael, I have you here because our very first issue, when we get a project, I ask a client, do you have the legal right to liquidate these contents? What does that involve?
Well, family seems to think that they have the right when someone dies to just take the property and sell it. It's a little more involved. It's quite a bit more involved than that, depending upon whether they have a will or not. We don't know who's in charge of the process of what's called probate administration. And to be very brief, what that is, probate administration is someone would apply to the judge through a lawyer, through a petition, to be appointed the executor. We call it personal representative. It's the same job. We just have a different vernacular in Florida. But the job is to essentially gather assets, what we call probate assets, find any creditors, people that are owed money, pay them as well as the person's final tax bill with the IRS, and then distribute the contents of the estate according to the will. And if there is no will, we have what's called the intestate statute. So there's a Florida statute that would determine where your property goes if you die, if you don't have a will.
Well, and that's always an issue too. Is the family desperately looking for a will? Sometimes it's found, sometimes it's not. Sometimes they know who the attorney is, but sometimes they just don't. And I always wonder why aren't these legal documents filed at the courthouse?
This is a question I get pretty often. Why isn't there some type of will registry down at the courthouse? The courthouse won't accept your will until you're deceased. Until then, it's supposed to be safeguarded by you or your family or your attorney, someone to hold the legal document. They're called the legal custodian of the document, and the statute requires them within 10 days of your death to deposit the will with the court. The problem is that without people knowing where those wills are, if they keep them themselves, sometimes it gets overlooked that they even had one. So it's not a perfect system. Recently, in the last few years, we've tried to go electronic. And with the Electronic Signature Act, we have the ability to sign legal documents, including wills, online. It's an involved process involving a notary online and witnesses online and someone recording the whole event digitally. and then storing it somewhere until the person dies, and that digital file then goes to the courthouse. That may or may not be better at helping us resolve the issue of what happened to the will. Um, I'm still a little skeptical of that process. I haven't been involved in electronic signatures yet for estate planning documents. We do them in real estate transactions quite often. It's pretty much the norm now. We sign online, but not for wills and trusts and estate planning documents. That's still, I like pen to paper. I'm over a 25-year lawyer, and I guess I'm old school now.
Do executors get paid?
Yeah, there's a statute that allows them. Again, it's personal representative. That's the Florida term for it.
Oh.
Florida statute, I think it's 733.6171. And I know it because I refer to it quite often. There's a statute that deems a reasonable fee for a personal representative to be approximately 3% of the estate, depending upon the size of the estate, after certain thresholds are met, like you reach the $5 million threshold, it goes down to like, I think 2.5%. And then at 10 million, it goes down to another 0.5%.
Well, I think that whatever they get, they're probably certainly do it, because I have a lot of people that said if I ever knew what was involved, I had no idea that there was this much work involved as being that PR. And that I also get from families, well, I'm mom's POA. Yeah, but mom is deceased now. So that kind of goes away, doesn't it?
Yeah, Florida law terminates POAs at death. So if they're still using the POA after death, they're in violation of law.
And I commonly also get, well, we live in Connecticut, so we'll just use our attorney there. And I always ask them, do you have a Florida attorney?
So estates are, the person's estate would actually be, we call it the domiciliary estate, where the person resides. That's the primary estate. If they have real property in other states, we can have what's called ancillary administration, which is another estate, a smaller estate, in conjunction with the domiciliary estate. But the main estate should be filed in the county and the state where they reside at death.
Mm-hmm. I also get a lot, well, I'll ask them as far as the contents, who am I making the check to, and how is the account set up? Is there a trust? Is a lot of them say, well, we have a ladybird deed. So what does that mean?
So a ladybird deed is, another term for it is enhanced life estate deed. And what it is it's a document that allows you to say, I'm going to gift myself this house for my life, for the remainder of my life, but retain the ability to change this deed if I choose, or sell the property and keep all the proceeds. But if I don't change the deed and I don't sell the property at death, and this deed is the last deed of record, I want it to go to X. And it avoids probate administration. The person could then receive the property without going through a probate court. So it's much quicker. They would record a death certificate. That's all they would need. But there are some problems with ladybird deeds. So the main issue is our Florida Constitution, when we're talking about the person's primary residence, we call it homestead. And there are different facets or areas of homestead law, if you will. One is, everybody knows the tax break that you get when you file for your real estate taxes. If it's your homestead, not only do you get a percentage, you get $50,000 off, an exemption off, but then you also get the Save Our Homes cap of a 3% cap on the appreciation of your home per year. That's one area of homestead law. Another area is creditor protection. And then finally, and I won't get into that now, it's not really relevant here, but the other area is devise and descent, which is exactly what we're talking about. What can you do with your house when you die? And many people don't know that you don't have the right to determine where your house goes when you die if you have a spouse or minor child. So the law would say that your spouse inherits a life estate or 50% interest at their choosing, and then it goes to your children. If you have a deed that's in both names, husband and wife, then the surviving spouse becomes the owner. If you have a minor child, then the property would go to the minor children and potentially a life estate to the spouse or 50% interest that they're choosing before that. So if you have a minor child, you don't have the ability to choose where your property goes. If you don't have a spouse, you may not have the ability. So why is that important? Well, if you have a ladybird deed that says it goes somewhere else, that may not work. The Florida Constitution would control, and we would have a conflict between the deed and the Florida Constitution. So it's a bit of a tricky business to do ladybird deeds with homestead without knowing the person is either not going to get remarried if they're single or not going to either adopt or have children in the future.
This is amazing. I have to tell you, this is so much stuff. I mean, my head is ready to explode. I mean, if you don't hire an attorney to take care of your estate, you're going to be in quickly a lot of trouble. I don't think the average person can navigate anything that you just spoke about. So, you know, my hat's off to you. I mean, that's a lot of experience. It's a long time experience that you just gave us. Thank you.
Well, it's shocking to a lot of people when I talk about the home and what you can't do with it. And they're like, well, what do you mean? It's my house. This is America. I should be able to determine where my property goes when I die. And you can't draft around this with a will. You can't draft around this with a trust. This is the law, and it will control. So there are some circumstances where it might be necessary to go through probate just for the home. So if you don't have a ladybird deed, and Diana, if you go into a home and they're trying to sell it, they may find out that they have to go through probate court to go what's called a homestead order. And why that's important is when you die, that creditor protection that I kind of glossed over earlier that you get when you own a home. You may not know this, but no one can take your home from you, okay, through legal process unless you allow them to lien it. So a bank can lien it with a mortgage, which you permit. And then if you have, let's say, a workman come and put a roof on your house and you don't pay them, they can put a lien, a mechanic's lien on your house and foreclose just like a bank would. But if you get in a car accident, if you get sued individually, those types of lawsuits and judgments don't attach to your home. Okay, so it's important to keep that homestead protection. And many people feel that it's valuable, and I think it's valuable. What they don't know is that that homestead protection actually extends to your family. As long as your home at the end of the day through your will or your trust is going to go to your family, blood relatives or a married person to their spouse, that house goes to them free from all debt. And what I mean by that is if, let's say, you're in your last years of life, you have some medical issues and you have a lot of medical debt, what I'm saying is that your house goes to your family and the hospital gets zero. That's the law. So I think I'm getting the proverbial tug on the shirt here.
Well, one of us was going to do it. That's okay.
That's
No,
fine.
no. This is all really, really necessary information, and that's why I asked you here. I always will say to a client, I am not an attorney. I suggest you seek legal counsel, and if you're from out of town, you really need to get a Florida attorney to deal with these issues. I know you a long time, Michael. We served together on the Estate Planning Council of the Fun Coast, which is the local chapters of Volusia and Flagler. And Michael is in Volusia, and I am in Flagler, and I am this year's president, and Michael is treasurer. And so, being I do know you, I have some interesting things as far as our show and tell items this week that I thought would really pique your interest. We have, if Perry can talk about our facsimile here.
Yeah, this is quite interesting. This, I don't know if the camera can see it, but what we have here is a facsimile, which I guess is a copy that they did in 1958. Let me just take the cover off. This is the German surrender in 1946. It was signed by Harry S. Truman. It's a book, and they didn't print too many of these. Now, the original document for it is in the archives and is not seen anymore. They don't even have it out. What they have only is these facsimiles. Let me take the book out. And inside here, you'll see Harry S. Truman's signature, and it is dated 1958. He's done a few of these so that people can see the actual documents that were signed. So let me just open it up. It's presidential seal. Again, It's the copy of it. That's the original picture of that signature day. Table of contents, and then there is the unconditional information of Germany's surrender. Again, this is a facsimile, as they call it back then, and what this does is it allows us Americans to see historically what happened. And unfortunately, we can't see the original documents anymore. So they did sign a bunch of these. This is one of them. I don't know quite how many there were. I'm hearing that there were 6 done. And I can't tell you if it was 6 in 1958 or 6 over total, but that's what was here. And this client purchased this. Diana, tell us.
Well, it was purchased through a fundraiser. So to really put fair market value, fundraisers kind of muddy that water because a lot of times it's a donation to a particular nonprofit, and therefore the numbers are kind of askew. They're really just giving a donation. But you did the research. You found that online they're going today for
Anywhere between $6,000 and $14,000. Just that facsimile right there.
Yeah.
As crazy as that is.
That's
And
so. What do you think, Michael? As a legal document,
It's fantastic. I'd like to read it later if I had a chance. I see that they did. It's about 2 pages, really. So I'd like to be. I'm curious to see what the lawyers put in that document when they drafted it.
yeah, you wonder what they write up as. Imagine you're surrendering a country. So like, how do you put that in legalese? To make it like legal, right? Other than going to send more troops over, right? So it's amazing. So that's why lawyers are important. And while we're at this, but why don't you give us who you are, where your address is, and phone number. Get your pen out. And if you need a will, if you need probate, you need things done, this is the man right here. So tell us again.
So yeah, I've been practicing a little over 25 years. I'm in Ormond Beach. I'm an Ormond Beach native. Went to high school here and came back after. Went off to college. Primarily, my whole practice career has been in this area of law, estate planning, wills and trusts, and trust administration. And it's fascinating to me. My father's a CPA. He started Olivari and Associates many years ago. Since he's now since retired, but growing up at the table of a CPA, I got to understand a little bit about money. And when I graduated law school and estate planning, and people were trying to put together their plans, I already kind of had a good understanding of how you're supposed to organize your finances. And then also, when you look at that, what do you want to have happen to these assets when you die? If it's a family business, where is it going to go? That kind of fascinated me.
And what's your phone number?
So, yeah, I'm in Ormond Beach off on Granada, 141 Sagebrush Trail. My phone number is 386 262 1942.
All right, thank you. That's great. Okay, Diana.
well, before we sign off today, a special piece that I wanted to commemorate. We have President's Day coming up, and this is a very special piece. It is the reception of Lafayette at Mount Vernon, the home of George Washington, and it was the original painting by Mignot and Rossiter. This we have is the chromolithograph. It was done by Bank and Scott circa 1875.
Wait, hold on. What is a chromolithograph?
Well, if you look at the beautiful color that is in this, you can spot a chromolithograph out of other prints right away because just the richness of the color. It just tends to last. It's a beautiful print, and they're early prints.
When do you think this one was done?
Well, this one was done in 1875.
1875. Wow.
So what we're seeing here, though, is Lafayette visiting George. He's retired. He's like very done. He's done with the war. He's done being president. He is retired and enjoying his lifestyle. There's his wife and his children, and just trying to really sit back. Now, there's other versions of this print where Lafayette is holding a newspaper behind his back. So you got to wonder, what are they talking about? Probably topics of the day. Maybe Lafayette trying to woo him back into public office. I don't know. But from the things that I read, Washington was, I'm retired now. So it's a beautiful print. I really enjoy it.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to keep it in the shop because I've told you since I've ever seen it that I really just love the piece, even though it's not in the greatest of condition.
Well, maybe it's a Valentine's Day gift. Maybe
Oh,
we gift
interesting.
each other this print and keep it. And I know this is awful.
That's
This is really terrible. We're supposed to be selling things.
don't let's not get into that discussion, please. I mean,
This happens all the time.
you know, one day, I'm going to just bring in pictures and show you a few things that we've acquired over the years. But you know.
So with the Valentine's Day coming, now that we're talking about that, you really do need to come to the shop. If you are going to give someone a beautiful bouquet of red roses for Valentine's Day, swing by, pick up a lovely vase. We have all kinds we have Baccarat and Lalique and Waterford, and we have porcelains, Noritake, we have Wedgwood. We have lots of Lenox, which is a true American classic. Can you think of it? We have lots of barware.
Well, there are items for
Champagne.
everyone, but you fellas out there, you need to step up a little bit and come into the shop and not be afraid of an antique shop, okay? And get the mystique that, oh my God, I'm going into an antique shop and get something for my wife, because by buying something that you make personal, even though it might be regifted, kind of when you look at it, what we have, it takes back the days of when you were a child, or perhaps grandma's house, even your parents' house, and you see things that have been handed down, and they're in the shop. Some of these things are absolutely stunning. So if you want to come in and buy something from us, you will find that you will make more satisfaction out of your spouse than any time before. So and don't be afraid when you come in. Even if I'm grumpy, you come in. I'll try to sell you something. So don't worry about that. I know
Perry's been grumpy because the air conditioning
Yeah,
went.
as you heard earlier. Anyway,
Easy now. Easy now.
Yeah, I think one of the greatest things of your store is you turn over the inventory so often that you can go 30 days later and it's a completely different store.
every Thursday, Myra restages the shop, and I have to tell you, people come in and say, "I saw over here in the corner you had this vase," and I say, "Show me where you saw it last time," and then we'll end up going and looking, and it's never there, but it's in another portion of the shop. So every week things move around, but a lot of stuff comes in every Thursday. Yeah, to like today.
Well, it comes in on Tuesday or Monday. And sometimes after the sale, 2:00, I'm packing it up and getting it over to the shop so that Joe can quickly get it up online. We're selling on eBay, Shopify, Poshmark, and Marketplace. So not only do we have the traffic of people coming in, but we're also online. So that's a big presence.
Yeah, so we did get the 2-minute warning from our engineer. Thank you very much. And it's time for us to start to wind down. So we are at 15 Palm Harbor Village Way, right here in Palm Coast, right behind the sheriff's station on Old Kings Road. We had a wonderful guest, Michael Olivari, today, and also our website is www.dianafineart.com, and I'm Perry Mitrano.
Well, and stay tuned. Next week, we're going to honor Black History Month, and we'll be featuring the Highwaymen. We have some dealer and collectors that are going to bring in their paintings and talk about why they're so interested. And it's a hot market. There's a movie coming out now that Hollywood has got their hands on it. I think it'll be beyond just a local regional thing. It'll be beyond the state of Florida and nationwide. So it's very exciting to be a part of this.
And it's a great guest. We have two really good guests, but one is very special to the county. So we'll leave it at that.
All righty then. Well, thank you so much, Diana Minotti Fine Art, Antiques, and Collectibles, and we hope to see you soon. We have an estate sales booked almost every weekend. I think we're booking now mid-March. So we'll see you soon. And remember, a brooch a day. Today's brooch, in honoring of Lafayette visiting, we have a Limoges. Thank you so much, and thank you, Michael. Thank you for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.